So, all right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. There we go. Cheers.
Cheers.
Happy.
I should be drinking, huh?
Yeah, I think so. Based on the behind the curtain pre-pod discussions. Feisty Paige, Adam here.
It's tense today.
Yeah, it's all
Relax.
right. That's good. Like that's again, it's like an actor or actress finding their rhythm. They're
Yeah.
like just you do like they're. This is how you got to get ready to get in the right headspace.
Yep.
Talk about the NFL draft and actual college football shit and
So much college football news.
like there's actually stuff. There's
I know.
stuff happening. We don't have to actually force it this time, which is great.
I mean, to be fair, the forced stuff is actually really fun. But I will say there is
Yes.
a lot of spring football things. We're getting rule changes.
Like real ones now.
Yeah, not just like hypotheticals. Like we're actually trying them out.
I also I had to redo my official top 5 beer rankings because the one that I saved I couldn't find. So I redid them.
Do you feel like you got them like back in the state that you wanted it to be in? Because I have mine memorized. I don't even need to write mine down.
I honestly don't know, but your question's a fair one, and it's been bugging the shit out of me because I can't remember. I think I got all 5 in there,
Okay.
but I don't remember the exact order.
All right.
And I think I don't know, man. It's not as good as the first beer list, I feel like, to be honest, when I was drinking beer.
When you were drinking beer, usually those are better lists.
Also, I think I met my match in terms of alcohol this weekend. I was going to text you this. So, Lagunitas, I mean, Lagunitas is California beer, right? Are they started in California? Yeah,
I think so.
National now.
I mean, I just know people drink it here.
So, they do a 420 beer called Waldo. It's a Waldo IPA. It's a triple IPA, which I don't see many of. I don't know many of that exist.
What's
So
like the alcohol percentage?
13%. And that's what I'm getting at. So I've had this before, but it's been a few years, so I picked it up. Now, when you drink this, it's almost like you're not drinking beer. It's just a giant kick in the balls, and it's not a bad kick in the balls. If you're into that, it's like but I had 2, and 1 was enough.
Where are you going with this?
I had 2 of these, and I was like, you remember my Cutwater situation? Like, we had a Cutwater situation.
I
with
love
these
that.
2 beers. Like the one, and I was cooking dinner, and I was like immediate out of it. And then the second one, which again, probably should have just had a half of beer.
Okay.
That was it. It was 2 beers. It was good. I don't know if this is a recommendation or not. I'm like talking through it because I remember.
Well, you told people it's a kick in the balls, but it's good. So like,
you need to know. Like, you need to brace for the kick. You ever see like those, like the karate videos where like they're purposely kicking them in the nuts, like, but they're ready for it. I knew what I was getting into, and I doubled up on it. I think everyone who likes IPAs needs to try this just to experience it. But again, the beer itself is bordering non-beer, and I liked it, I think. But holy shit, Paige, not good. Like, it was me, and I realized I had made a mistake very early on. So,
what were you hanging out with? Like just your neighbor Jason, or
my kids, my family,
just hanging with the fam?
like bedtime. I was putting kids to bed, and I'm putting me to bed, basically. I mean, I wasn't like hammered. You know me, like it takes a lot, but like you reach that point where like I've only had 2 beers. This is 1, very filling, and 2, like I'm having a hard time reading this book right now.
Yeah.
This was just a dinner beer situation that had escalated very fast. Yeah,
that happens.
So,
it tends to happen. I feel like I've lost like my alcohol like level of tolerance. Like I am such a lightweight now, and I never was that. And like recently, I've become like 2 drinks in, and I'm like, I can't do anymore. 1 glass of wine does it. 1 glass of wine does it. So like a whole day of wine tasting this past weekend.
Trouble?
Well, I was fine, but like I just get like really quiet and just like I'm like, uh-oh.
See, but that's
I'm
the
very
best.
aware. I'm too aware of the fact that I'm drunk, and I'm like, oh no.
Do you get like the world is out to get you? Like, do you get conspiracy like at that point, or you?
Yeah, I'm like feisty. People are like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. Why?" Like, I'm
I'm
good.
Off.
I'm just like trying to get myself to be sober at that point. Yeah, and it's mostly just like, oh, one. Also, you know me. I mean, everybody knows me. Kind of a blabbermouth, and so for me, I am someone who like will talk your ear off, and so when I go quiet, everyone's kind of like, Why is
Yeah.
she quiet?
I do that too. Like they just take my batteries out and that's it.
Yeah.
Like they're like, it's time to go. It's time to go. Like, but that like it's better than a lot of the other people. Like to get violent or mean
Yeah.
or
I don't get
no.
that way.
I just very politely shut down, very quietly
Yeah.
and
No, wow.
politely take
Interesting that
me.
we're the same on that front.
Yeah. No, I've always kind of been that way.
I have not. I have not always been that way. I used to be incredibly feisty, and if someone like looked at me the wrong way, I was like, "What do you want?" Now I'm just maybe I'm maturing. Who knows?
We're just
Anyway,
getting
let's
old.
talk about football.
Oh no, that was fun. I could talk about that.
This tangent is
we got
getting
football.
crazy.
We
got
do.
football new rules. So
immediately tangent out of the gate. Yes, I actually have strong takes about. I don't really have too many strong takes about the new rules. We thought that this was going to happen, so we talked about this. I don't know, a couple of months ago. But here are the new rule changes for anybody that has been under a rock. Consecutive timeouts have been banned. They are not going to extend quarters. So if there's a roughing the passer as time expires, it's just going to carry over.
Yep.
And then I think the biggest one, honestly, is going to be the running clock. So yeah, the first down situation, the clock's going to move unless it's within 2 minutes? The last
final
2 minutes
of a half.
Which I kind of love, honestly.
I love it too.
That's the biggest rule change, right? The other two,
yep.
Nobody really cares. Consecutive timeouts, super annoying when it comes to icing kickers, but the running clock's kind of a big deal.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely a big deal. And I think I think we kind of knew this was coming because one, games have gotten longer in the past couple of years, and two, they're trying to limit plays and number of plays. And so they significantly, based on the research they've done, think that this will. So this is more of a safety thing and a longevity thing of games being a little bit longer. I think it's great. I mean, it's going to, I think that also prepares guys, offense is better for the NFL. Also, defense is better because they're just going to go and you're not going to have that time to linger and whatever and set up and do all of that. So I certainly think it'll help the players in the long run. And I think it'll make the game more exciting, especially when players who, for guys who haven't been in college yet, they're still learning a lot. So they'll probably be better at that. But I feel like guys who've been in their sophomores or juniors or even seniors, you're so used to it being this way. I'm sure they'll practice it over and over again, but I feel like it'll be an interesting transition. I'm sure we'll see some sort of game come down to, before the 2 minutes, obviously, that causes them not to have time to do something. It certainly won't be TCU because, of course, we've seen them with 11 seconds in the clock running and them just go and kick a field goal and nothing matters. So this is great for Sonny Dykes. But other than that, it should be really, really interesting.
I like the rule. I like the rules. I don't give a shit about the consecutive timeouts. Sure, well, that's just like icing on the cake. I like the fact that they're trying to evolve the game. I was trying to remember which rules they didn't take. I believe it was going to be a running clock even on incompletions, which was kind of bad shit. There was a couple of rules, obviously, that were too aggressive for them to do.
I know.
This is a good middle ground, I think, and I don't think it's going to change the watching experience at all. I think you will see those. You mentioned the stoppages. They'll be in. I say that, and you're right. Immediately, there'll be a fucking game where not stopping the clock is a problem. But
it's going to be. There's going to be a CFV Twitter moment where people are like,
"But if you fall behind big now, it's harder to come back." Murder ball, Georgia, Alabama. Murder ball this is going to be helpful. Just boom, plow away, keep the ball away, and teams can't bank on rest. Just stopping the clock.
Your hands on your hips are going to be a lot bigger of an issue for defenses.
If you are really good, like at USC, Caleb Williams, there were drives last year where USC the clock wouldn't move. You boom, first down, go boom. So I think this is going to change a lot. And you still get the best, the advantages at the end of the half. Yeah, I have no complaints. We hate everything college football does normally. Not us, actually. We love most things, but people bitch about a lot. It's hard to find the bitching in this. It's going to speed up the game, which, by the way, baseball, they piss me off too. Baseball's great. Baseball is great. You're powering through games in 2 hours and 20 minutes.
You're really such a big fan. You brought it up a lot.
It.
You are a big fan of the pitch clock.
I think Rob Ranford's terrible. We'll talk baseball later on, but that people's times are important and Saturdays are important. Not our times on Saturdays. Who cares? Because they're a complete loss.
Really, they're
whatever. I think we both endorse. Now,
no,
this is really intriguing to me. However, on the rule front, which is the SEC is trying to eliminate field storming, and some of the things, I think this was SI with our friend Pat Forty was talking about it, and they're talking about drastic punishments. So right now, basically, if you storm the field, you get fined $100,000. It can go to $250,000, and they're looking for ways to really up the ante on this to make it impossible.
Basically, they just increased the fee, and people just don't care.
They don't care.
And these are going to be proposed, but the new rules for this, apparently they're going to have you lose an away or a home game that you would get on your schedule, or the extreme is going to be you forfeit the game that you rush the field for, which I in no way support or think that will ever happen, because it's just not gonna. That's not fair, because the team themselves cannot control the fans. I'm
gonna two things. We've talked about this before. If you've ever been in these situations, it can be really fucking scary.
Yeah, it's dangerous. I get why they want it to stop.
This is one of those things. Something bad has happened. You look at player interactions with fans, but I think something really bad is capable of happening, and then it's just going to force everybody into making a decision. So I don't want that to sound ominous or negative, but they're you get drunk people moving at alarming rates in these awkward things where you can get pinned or trampled. It's bad. I understand what they're trying to do. I don't have a great solution to do it other than encapsulate the field so it can't be breached. That's prevent them from storming the field, I guess would be it, right?
I think it's fine to take away home games in the future. I sort of think that is if they don't want to do the money thing anymore and they're not going to they're going to find them and then also do this. That's a way to set a tone, but it's not ruining the outcome of a game that's already been played. It's changing the potential of you to have a home game, and that's something that then schools will take a little bit more seriously and put the money towards security. But in those situations, we watching Tennessee do it this year, yes, it's dangerous. Yes, it's but it is kind of fun for the people that are there and get to experience it. So it's I'm torn, because I'm a queen of safety. I do not want anyone to get hurt. I actually don't want to be in a field storming situation. That just is my worst nightmare, to be honest with you. Not really that tall.
Sounds awful.
And I feel I could just get trampled really easily. Yeah, and so drunk people, it's scary, and pulling down the goalposts and all of that. It certainly is scary, but it's a part of college football, and it is what it is. And so I think the extremeness of this should be interesting, but I don't see in any way it passing anyone's vote to be able to take away change the outcome of that game. Where they storm the field.
There's no way. You're right too. I don't want to be too old man yells at cloud. The visuals are unbelievably good. The Tennessee visuals, the lasting memory of that is incredible. And people, for the most part, get on the field, they grab a piece of grass, they celebrate with each other, and it's very peaceful.
Do you remember a few years ago where those two women jumped in the hedges at
they got
Auburn
stuck.
and they needed to get helped out, and the boyfriend dipped, and
they were
just two
stuck
girls in
still.
there,
they're still
stuck
there.
in the hedges. That would be sad if that kind of content went away. But we understand the safety. We don't want to make light of that. But I'm at this point, even taking away. I know I said I'd be fine with that if that was the rule, if you took away a home game in the future. But
that's a big deal. It's a big punishment. You think about the revenue.
In the SEC specifically, it is.
Well, and you punish the players. Again, I'm not even criticizing. I don't have a good solution to this other than unless you reinforce the stadium to not allow this, then you're going to get it. And you got places like Clemson, by the way, where this is part of the fabric of the culture of
They
football.
do it all the time.
It's the thing, and then it's hilarious because Twitter's Clemson's storming the field against beating Louisville, and it's
hey, have you ever watched a Clemson game before?
That's what they do. I don't have a great answer. I love the visuals. I understand why the SEC is saying, hey, this is a problem, because something ultimately will happen here. But then it's on, right? Like they're trying to be proactive. If something bad were to happen, then it's gonna escalate things incredibly. So, but none of these solutions tend to. It's the thing. When you penalize this, it's easy to penalize the pocketbooks, but then the Tennessee AD is like, yeah, whatever, we'll pay that fucking. Who cares? Like,
Yeah.
you remember they had like the GoFundMe, and it's like, fans will, thanks. Put it
Fans
on
will
our tab.
pay to do it themselves. They don't care.
It's also amazing the money flowing through the program. So I don't have a good solution other than I'm interested to see where this goes, because I have a feeling, kind of like targeting was and is, this is going to be a yearly conversation that starts cycling into like the regular off-season regimen, and I don't think it's going to go away. Things that are going away currently, Colorado players, specifically 18 of them. So
Yeah.
Colorado, did you watch any of the Colorado spring game, by the way?
I saw highlights of it.
Okay, I watched about 20 minutes. Fun story. My kids, when we watch games, they're like, what team are we picking, Dad? And did you bet? They've started asking me that. Caitlin does not, my wife does not love that question. Did you bet? And then I answer like, yep, I bet the yellow team. I bet this. So there's a lot.
And they have to win by this many. Hey, it's good math.
It is. We're doing math. We're teaching rooting interests. Did you bet? So we turn on the Colorado spring game. It's offense, defense. Then, but Dad, who are we rooting for? I'm like, well, it's Colorado. Did you bet? And I'm like, no, I wish I could have.
Good.
This is a scrimmage. And it took 20 minutes to explain them the whole what is going on here.
What is a spring game?
What is a spring game? Pretty cool scene. I will say this. Pretty cool scene.
Yeah.
The power of Deion Sanders on full display. Televised on ESPN. Chris Fowler was there, obviously, connection with program. Cool scene. But 18 players, including their top 2 wide receivers, and Montana Craig, who had a massive game, just goes portaling immediately after.
Yeah.
Controversially, I guess, if you want to call it that. So they've obviously welcomed in a ton of players, but you lose 18 like that.
Well, and they've lost 31 total. Like that was just post spring game. They've lost 31 total. And I mean, we knew this was coming because one, Deion got there and he was like, pack your bags and hop in the portal because I'm bringing my luggage with me.
Yes.
And, to be fair, like I get it. It's his program. He can revamp and do it how they want. It teaches those kids that this is always going to be a business. Is it unfortunate? Yeah, of course it is. But I don't think he wanted to lose like very talented players.
Well, and here's who they lost. Now, this was a really bad team, and I'm pulling it up on my other computer over here. That's why I'm looking over here. I forgot to bring it over to this one, whatever, behind the curtain. So statistically, Colorado lost, this is from Brian Howell on Twitter, no longer has its top 2 rushers, top 4 QBs, top 9 pass catchers, 14 of its top 16 tacklers, top punt and kick returners. That's what they've lost already.
Yeah.
So you're right. Like but you know what? And I know we're talking specifically about, maybe the wide receiver who left. If Deion's going to come in and say, y'all better be portaling, this is the game. Deion's playing the game. The kids are going to play the game too.
Yeah.
And you can't be pissed off of it when you tell everybody to leave. They're going to take advantage of the spotlight, and they did. Good for them.
That's exactly my point. I am happy for the players that played in the spring game, played well in the spring game, kind of like got people to actually watch them, and we're like, okay, see ya. And like, I mean, here's the thing. We know what's going to happen. If this thing goes well for him and they win games and they are competing in the Pac-12, this is, genius. You come in, you bring your guys. I mean, he's not just bringing guys from where he was before. He's recruiting other guys in the transfer portal as well that he wants to be on his team. So, I mean, I've always talked about this where like you kind of have to give new coaches some time because they need to get their roster in there. And it's like, all right, this is a new way of doing it where you get your roster in there immediately. And I mean, if it works, it's going to be great. But if it doesn't, like the criticisms are going to come very quickly of like, look, it's not that easy to build a program in a day or in an off season and be able to compete.
Rarely does this process happen so openly, though, where he's telling the kids, like, get your shit and get out. And the kids are playing it. Like, the environment is so different now because of the portal. And Deion's, like, you're just seeing the how the sausage is made to make a football program.
And eligibility rules and things like that have all changed. And so it's like, there's so much that has changed that this is like a new age look at it. But do I think, I mean, we've talked about this a lot, like it's different running an NFL team than it is for running a college football team. And I think now like college kids are not being, they're being treated more like adults, where it's like, this is a business. Like I have to win football games, so I'm bringing in who I want to bring in. You know, you can go elsewhere, go in the portal. That's your way out. I don't think if the portal didn't exist and being able to play immediately after one transfer didn't exist, then you wouldn't be able. I don't think this would work. This is someone work, but just
there, by the way. Dia wouldn't take the job, I don't think.
Yeah,
he's not there for like a 4-year turnaround.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think that these, and it just wouldn't work. And also I think people would be a little bit more critical because there's not a lot of options for the kids. And that's always been the thing of like, oh, coaches can leave immediately and go coach a new team, but like players can't go in immediately, play on a new team. So I do think it's a nature of like everything that's changed, of course, but it's interesting, like you said, how open it is, and that leaves you also wide open for criticism. Open.
This isn't like, you hear all these names. I think Deion's probably a little surprised to your point that they're losing some of the top talent.
Yeah.
When the messaging is as like direct as it is, though, I can't think like this is kind of the environment he's creating. I'm just fascinated to see how this works. I love the buzz, and to be clear, they're getting a ton of talent in. Like we're talking about the people leaving. They have tons of players that want to play. Good players that are being up to like an improvement from a 1-win team last year. So they're starting at the floor. And, oh, by the way, they have a quarterback that's going to be really solid, if not good, really good, out of the gate. Just happens to be his son. So I think you're going to see some immediate improvements. You know, this is kind of like the conversation. It's different, right? When USC, like last year at this time, we're like, what the hell is this team going to be? Expectations were enormous, and USC backed it up. Now, please, I'm not comparing Colorado to USC in terms of talent, but I do think there's a question of like, you know, can they make a bowl game? Like a bowl game, if Colorado makes a bowl game, that would be an enormous accomplishment in year one.
Yeah.
And I don't know the answer to that yet. I think we have to see how the roster shakes out, but like there's a part of you that thinks, yeah, they probably can, because the competition's not exactly overwhelming largely. But time will tell. This is fascinating. All the levels to this we've talked about, you and I think we've been on the same page of like the good and the bad of getting Deion, like the good and like all of it. It's going to be wild to see how this plays out over not just a season, but like 3 seasons.
Yeah.
You know,
well, and great news, we're going to have all the coverage of it because everybody is always talking about it.
Oh my God. That part's getting a little tiresome.
Yeah, it's a lot already. I'm like, oh man, here we go. But you know what? It's the nature of the game, and that's why we love this great sport.
Speaking of tiresome talking about, Alabama spring game.
Concerning.
Good. That's where I was going. So the quarterbacks were not great. Jalen Milroe, Ty Simpson, guys that we saw in Milroe last year, who's like uber athletic, uber physically talented.
And looked good.
And had some good moments. A&M, not so great. Both guys did not look good. And, well, you're a resident Bama beat reporter.
Well, you asked me last week if I was concerned, and I was like, not really. But this is kind of concerning. Because, like, I know that Nick Saban has won with quarterbacks that are not so great before, but this is a different game in a different era. And also with all the talent that comes through the portal at the quarterback position, it does make me a little nervous.
It makes me very nervous. Like they have had great quarterback play that masked roster deficiencies. And when I say roster, like Alabama roster deficiencies. Like Bryce
different
Young,
than normal roster deficiencies.
Not Iowa, like we're grading on a different curve here. But like when you have Bryce Young, you are afforded the luxury to do like not be great or not be elite in certain areas. Alabama has the deep group of wide receivers, we think. The running backs are going to be fine. There's some young players that people like. Defense, I think they're going to produce a lot of dudes because that's what Alabama does. But like it has been a really crazy run of quarterbacks here for this team for a while, and both of these guys are talented. Like people I've talked to say like, yeah, they're really like they make some crazy throws, but they also attempt some crazy throws.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, like Nick Saban sideline face warning alert. Like that's where I'm like Nick Saban. I'm interested to see how this goes.
He even expressed concern. He wasn't like, oh, this is great. He was like, are we making plays to win football games? Like people need to be ask themselves these questions. So he's coming down hard on them, and they're getting the Saban ass chewing. But is that enough to like get you there by the time the season starts? And are there other options potentially? I don't know, but I mean
maybe, but like
maybe,
I was gonna go there. They weren't really aggressive in the portal. You had a guy like Hartman, who I'll talk about momentarily, who could have been had. It wasn't a great year for that, but he wanted to go with his guys. And look, you don't want to panic. It's way too early. It's a spring game. It doesn't mean shit. But I think it's okay to like. I'm recalibrating my Bama thoughts at the moment, and I'm not doing so recklessly. They're not moving very far. They may not move at all. But I think it's okay to look at Bama now and be like, all right, like there's some work to be done here.
Yeah.
And to be skeptical of how it's going to look, because there's just, it's really a testament also to just how many crazy ass good players have come through there over the last 5 years. And there's not an abundance of them popping out right now. There will be, I'm sure. That's how this thing goes. But, like it's going to be, I think a lot of guys are going to have to develop fast. And we'll find out, obviously, when they start playing football again.
Yeah. I think if I'm an Alabama fan, big if there, just kidding. I am a little concerned that this is sort of like a little bit of a repeat of last year, like where you're not in the playoff, but you won quality games, you've lost a couple. That sort of might be the expectation as opposed to like murder ball and beating everybody.
Also in spring football news, Tyler Buchner of Notre Dame,
yes,
is transferring. Alabama could be an option.
I know, that's why I was thinking that through and saying that out loud. That's immediately what my brain went to was, maybe
Saban's going to hit the portal here a little bit.
He's certainly one of the more talented players to go into the portal this offseason. So
I will say the two takeaways are, yes, I think he'd be capable. And I think obviously too, he's got connections to the OC. Like this makes so much sense. And then
it does.
Hartman, who I did see some highlights of, I really think that could go very well in Notre Dame. Like I want it to go well because this is a Sam Hartman podcast.
Yeah.
Right, like this is
the Sam Hartman podcast. We've said it multiple times, and I'll reiterate: Sam Hartman will be on this podcast at least once this year. We will get him on here.
We will, and his glorious beard, get him on the pod. But I just saw some glimpses of that, and I'm like, Notre Dame hasn't had like that level of dude at quarterback. It feels like in a long time, and I'd love to see that work out. I feel like that's a really good marriage potentially.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I did want to mention about Buckner's transfer portal situation. He has like a mark next to his name in the portal, which means that you are not wanting teams to reach out to you. So that means, in my opinion, that he probably has an idea of where he wants to go. So like,
and he's that's interesting actually.
Yeah.
Like, don't call me.
Don't call me. I'll call you. Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know that existed.
Mm-hmm. So
it's like a dating app thing. Not that I've ever used a dating app.
Right. You've just heard horror stories. You've heard horror stories from people close to you.
I boxed myself into an immediate corner. But it seems like something like Uber, when you do that, like the do not disturb. Like,
yeah,
I feel like a dick when I have that on. But if I have like an early flight, I'll be like, brother, please just let me be.
Brother.
Yeah, maybe that would have been a better comparison than the bad dating apps. Although, fun story, my brother-in-law, he was back. He was on dating apps, and the one night, he this was a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, he showed me. I learned. I'd never downloaded a dating app, and he was letting me explore like the world and do some swiping. My wife was very interested in my swipe decisions, like what
That checks
where
out.
I was going to go with this, right? And
Yeah.
I had to do some explaining of why. I mean, it turned into quite the family ordeal, is my dating app experiences. So there you go.
Yeah. I'm my dating app experiences I will share with you privately, which maybe one day we will openly do that on this podcast, but
yeah, I know a few
a few of them. Yeah.
I know a few of them. And yes, I appreciate the private. I'll just keep stumbling into talking about the fucking dating apps and looking like an asshole. Thanks for that. Really appreciate you stepping up and helping out your podcast host. Okay, now let's talk some draft.
Yes.
Disclaimer alert. We are not draft experts, nor do we care to be. I love the NFL draft because I can get hammered and watch the draft and enjoy it and now bet on it.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be a fair characterization of how you feel about the draft? Like,
yeah, I enjoy it. I want to see my football team get better, my professional football team get better. I like watching good things happen to good people. So kids that we've watched, play and root for and develop, that's exciting. I'm here for the outfits. I'm here for the awkward interactions with significant others. I'm here for families and the weird videos. Like, I love all of that stuff. But yeah, I'm not overly concerned about who's drafting where and grilling people on their terrible draft choices, because as we've seen, Mr. Irrelevant can be very irrelevant not even a year later. So that's my 2 cents.
I can't believe that actually happened. Like, I can't believe that is something that actually transpired. Brock Purdy, who was horrendous in college for much of his career.
You have to say that, you're an Iowa fan.
Well, he was horrendous against Iowa. I don't even hate Brock Purdy. I just watched a lot of him. I think it's awesome that he was good. I think
potentially the starter again. So cool.
In fact, what was I watching? The Mets were playing the Giants, and he was in the crowd. He got a massive standing ovation, which is so cool. This was a guy that struggled at Iowa State, got taken, and now you hope he's healthy. Yeah. Which is really, really neat.
It also just goes to show you that circumstance matters. Some of these guys will be considered busts, but it's just because they got drafted into a bad circumstance for them. Some get drafted into a great circumstance for them. I mean, how do you can't script a two quarterbacks get injured for a team that's really, really good around them everywhere else. And this guy could lead them to a Super Bowl. Oh, but then he gets hurt.
Yes.
Yeah, you just can't write stuff like that. And so you can't predict that stuff even when you're drafting. I don't think the 49ers, when they were drafting Brock Purdy, was you know what I think about Brock Purdy is that despite giving up all of our draft picks to get Trey Lance and still having Jimmy Garoppolo on our roster, I think, he's going to be the guy. So you can't, that's the stuff that that's why it bothers me too when people get so I don't know, aggressive about whether people were drafted to the right spot or not. And don't get me wrong, I've been one of those people before where I've talked about the draft in hindsight and been I think this is good, I think this is bad. But again, there's such a small window of you being able to say that, and then we actually get to see the results of it. I mean, you think of Tom Brady's too. You just never know.
Yeah.
You never know. So don't take it too seriously. I know you guys think you know what's best for your football team, and some of you probably do, unless, we'll talk about your football team
I
later, but we should talk draft.
And so
betting
the Will
the
Levis thing, we're recording a little bit earlier, right? So
yes.
Will Levis, this story is amazing
Hilarious
to me. The betting markets on the draft have really escalated over the last 3 to 4 years. This used to be a thing bet on the first pick, and now I shot some videos for BR betting, and I spent literally hours trying to find which ones I wanted to bet because there's so many.
Yeah.
So with that as the backdrop, the betting markets have gone weird. Will Levis, who is probably, I don't know, maybe one of the more controversial, not in terms of anything he's done, just in terms of people not knowing if he's good or not, at Kentucky, huge, big arm, hitting crossbars from his knees from 50 yards away. Why that matters, I don't know, but it's interesting nonetheless.
Yeah.
There was a rumor on Reddit that he was telling other people in Carolina he's going to be the number one overall pick.
Yeah.
Just an anonymous Reddit post, and the betting market exploded. He went from 40-1 to 4-1 in a couple of hours because this thing caught fire.
Because you don't want to be the person that didn't bet that. Like how, like realistically, you can sprinkle on that. Say you lose $10, but still, like and if you hit, like, and you put a lot on it, like you were the smart person for following a rumor. But this is a dangerous game.
Well, it's why they keep the limits on the draft normally pretty low, at least a lot of sports books. But it is a dangerous game because this is where we're going, right? This is where we're going. And the chatter this week is exhausting of who's going to go where. Bryce Young is going to be taking number 1 overall, right?
Yes.
Like we feel pretty good about that.
We feel pretty good about that, and that's the right decision. We've said that over and over again.
And it's the right decision. And there was a quote. This is from ESPN. Given the nature of the draft, we drastically cut the price based on this action and eventually came to a price where the bets stopped. A DraftKings person told ESPN, we're still seeing some small bets trickle through at the current price, but the speculation is all the action was off the back of a Reddit post.
Yeah.
A Reddit post influencing the markets like this is fascinating to me. Now, a comparison would be during the season, right? Message boards. There are people on message boards and Reddit that are connected. Without question. There are people that know people, and then you start to get injury news. Like, this is how this shit happens. You have an opt-out in a bowl game. It starts on, GoHogs.com. Like, hey, so-and-so's not going to play in this bowl game.
Yeah.
The betting line moves, then it comes off the board. You just don't normally see it this, like, and it's all a product of the money coming in.
Yeah.
Right? And sportsbooks don't want, like, massive amounts of exposure on the fucking draft. Like, this is a fun thing for them. It's a marketing thing. But I think the total volume has increased, like it has at the combine, of people that bet on this. And as such, they're just going to protect themselves. So whether they think or not, Will Levis is going number 1. The bets must have been pouring in, albeit at a smaller size, for them to say, fuck this, it's not worth it, let's move it. I'm fascinated by this, though, because you don't normally see something like this.
Well, and if we start to see this stuff when it comes to like games and such, and we get a lot of like message boards that go viral and change these things in a game setting, that's where it's going to be like really concerning. Like you said, the draft is not something they're willing to, but like you can't be changing that for games with people doing, you know what I mean? You could not do that. So that should be really interesting. I will say I do want to discuss the fact that players in the NFL were punished for betting on college games because they did it at team facilities. You also can't do it at the team hotel, which I think is absolute bullshit. Like, I know if I'm a player, I'm not doing it anywhere because I'd just rather not risk it. But like the fact that you can't bet on college football on a Saturday, on a Saturday when you're at the team hotel after workouts and you're sitting in your hotel room in an away game, you can't bet on college football that day.
It's also becoming very hypocritical too. Like, the gambling is a good chunk of the interest in the NFL, right?
Well, and you have sports books in your stadiums now.
And so I don't understand I know they're trying to protect the integrity. I get it. And I get
totally the sport that you play in. No one should ever bet on NFL games. Injured, whatever. If you're in the league, you should not. Maybe even if you ever played NFL football, I mean, you shouldn't be able to. That's a little dramatic, but still.
No, but like there's connections like to the information that you have to be. You have to. People need to feel like the games and the outcomes are real.
Yeah.
So you have to be. But aside from that, who gives a shit? Like, team hotel. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, it's. I think these rules are going to change. I really do, because I think you can enforce what you want to enforce and then loosen up what you need. What you probably should loosen up. But that was surprising to me too. I didn't know any of those rules up until this week, and I think a lot of people were kind of like, Jesus, like that's a little intense.
Yeah.
NFL's not screwing around, clearly.
No.
On that
front.
Well,
and I get it, because like you also are dealing with people who make a ton of money and can. I mean, we're not unit shaming anyone here, but like you probably don't have the money an NFL player has to throw on games, and if those things can be dangerous. They're probably keeping guys from having a habit or a problem.
Absolutely. No, 100%. With all that being said, you want to talk about some bets that we can make?
Yeah, you want to talk about our habit and problem?
Yeah, I have a fascinating bet for you that I want to talk through. It's a betting opportunity. Sounds like I'm trying to sell you a fucking car. I'm not. And are you ready? It's your favorite topic. Mr. Stetson Bennett.
I didn't hear a word you said because I just ripped my headphones out of my microphone.
Oh, I wasn't even looking at it. Why did you rip them? Angrily?
No, it was an accident. I just moved my leg and it ripped out of the bottom of my microphone.
I heard rumbling. I thought you were typing. I was already looking at the odds. Talk.
I am an aggressive typer, so that's fair. But
no,
again,
it was just rumbling.
I don't know what it is the last couple of weeks that we've just had just random technical errors.
I know what it is. It's you and me. And it's part of this show and a foundation of ours. No, perfect, because I get to say it again. It's one of your favorite subjects.
Oh, great.
Stetson Bennett.
Oh, God.
Okay, so I did a video on this. I don't know if you've seen this, but DraftKings is offering up odds on where Stetson Bennett will be drafted. And I find this absolutely fascinating. Do I work my way? All right, let's start round 1. And will he be drafted round 1 plus 10,000? Round 2. Laugh? What a dick. Plus 6,000. Round 3. Did you enjoy that though? Like, I feel like that laugh has been building up for like 3 years. That laugh. Like, that's perfect. All right, round 3. You distracted me. Plus 2,500. Round 4 plus 8,000. Round 5 plus 5,500. Round 6 plus 450. Round 7 plus 350 and not drafted minus 105. Now,
that's insanity.
Okay, I also find this to be insanity. Now, I will defend Stetson Bennett first because I think I'm better at defending him than maybe you are. Now, he's like 45 years old. He's 25. All right, he's 5'10". He's bigger than Bryce Young, but he's not big. He got arrested. He presents himself kind of douchebag, right? He's kind of a douchebag in public, and I don't know him.
This is a great defense.
But like I'm working through the criticisms first.
These are your criticisms. These are criticisms from others. Let's clarify.
Well, my criticisms are he doesn't always present himself in the best light, and like scouts and NFL people are like, yep, he like blah blah blah. Now, all that being said, he has a fucking huge arm, like an arm that we've underrated. He can move, and the dude is nails. Has been nails in 2 national championship games. Has been nails in the playoff. I could argue his douchebaggery ways are actually confidence that you want at the position.
Yeah.
I can make the case for Stetson Bennett. I am fascinated that undrafted is not just a chalk, but a pretty sizable chalk. I don't understand it.
I agree with you in the sense that I do think that he should be drafted, and I think he will be drafted. I don't think he goes undrafted.
Okay, well, I already placed a bet on this, so I'm glad you brought that up. Okay. I did a little ditty with round 4 at 8-1. I think round 4 Stetson Bennett. Yeah.
Oh, that's a little early for me, but
of course it is. Round 5 plus 550. You want to get out on that? Round 6 plus 450.
I'll go round 6.
I'm gonna go with like it only takes one. Some team's gonna like him, and he'll be a really quality.
Some
backup.
owner really relates to him in some way.
So other markets that I found fascinating. This one's very interesting, close to our hearts. The first non-quarterback drafted. Now, it's really down to 2 players, they think. Tyree Wilson, formerly of Texas Tech, and Will Anderson plus 120 of Alabama. Tyree Wilson's actually the favorite, minus 150. I think that's really interesting. Will Anderson plus 120. I did dabble on Will Anderson. Wow,
I'm getting to you. You're gambling with your heart a little.
I am. I love Will Anderson.
I do too.
I do think this is interesting because A, like Houston may not select the quarterback at 2, and B, Will Anderson, who's been the bona fide best defensive player in a long time, may not go number 1. I do not evaluate, but I think that would be very dumb. Draft Will Anderson, don't do anything stupid. So what do you think of this? Like, are you surprised at the odds at this at all?
Not at all. No, the nature of the conversation is always quarterbacks, and like in the draft, that's all that really people care about. And then, evaluation of other players and whether they're a fit or not. I don't know, people are willing to take a risk more so at other positions, I feel like, and skip on guys that like we think are generational talents, at other positions.
I just think it's going to be a mistake. The guy was just a fucking monster, like in every game.
Yeah.
Just draft Willie Anderson. All right, I've got a couple more for you that I found interesting. Anthony Richardson, the betting market on him has been wild. Wild.
Serious roller coaster.
Where we have landed a couple of days before the draft, over 4.5, position 4.5, minus 330, under 4.5, plus 255. So like he started at 100 to 1. He went to being maybe the first overall pick. Now we're settling in. I think over, it's very chalky. I think over 4.5 seems right. I just think we're running out of real estate. The Levis.
Yeah.
I don't think Levis is going number 1, but I think he's going to go probably the second quarterback maybe, or Stroud. Like we're running out of room, it feels like, for Richardson. Do you agree on that one?
I do.
I've just been fascinated by his whole existence. A couple other of the over-unders that I found really interesting. Hendon Hooker, over 31.5, plus 165, under 31.5. It's actually literally just moved. It was minus 160, now it's minus 205. So the Hendon Hooker steam is there. So will he be a first rounder? Won't he be a first rounder? Right?
What are the odds again?
It is minus. It's wild. It's just like literally moved underneath my fingertips here. Minus 205 for being a first round pick, plus 165 for not. So the interesting thing here is you get the extra year of control. He's coming off an ACL injury. He's, I think, 25 years old too. Like my guy, Stetson. I don't know. I think he'll be a first round pick. Somebody probably come in to trade for him, but I'm not as sure about this one. Other than I really like the player and I hope he does well. I hate that he blew out his knee, and I want all the good things to happen for him. So
yeah,
what do you think? Over
I want
or under?
all the good things, but I think it's going to be over.
That's interesting. You can get some value on that. Like make a little money.
Hey, we like making money.
The other one that's really interesting to me, and I'm just looking at this list and just citing off shit, is Jalen Carter. It's been like a roller coaster for him too. Jalen Carter had off-field stuff, like very serious off-field stuff.
Yep.
Over pick 6.5, minus 205. Under 6.5, plus 165. That number feels like right on the nose to me. I don't have a good feel for that, other than I feel like if the draft process played out differently for him, and that's to say some of the things that happened didn't happen, like he had to quit his workout, and then obviously everything that happened with the car situation was horrific. His involvement kind of really up in the air. I feel like if he's healthy and right, football-wise, he's just immensely talented. I'm very curious to see how the NFL treats him on draft night.
Yeah, no, that should be really interesting. I think because too, we also talked about the situation with Stetson last week about how like people were saying he's undraftable because of his, behavior, and there was a tragedy that occurred, and so it's like there's a lot of stuff that some things are not in other people's control. People make mistakes and things like that. But yeah, it should be interesting to see how that all plays out in terms of like how teams actually feel about the situation. Because I don't feel like we've heard a lot about that. We've heard that like that's going to be a conversation, but we haven't heard one way or the other kind of what the people who are making these decisions, how they feel about that situation.
Another draft. Are we just completely sitting on like CJ Stroud? Like
I was gonna bring it up. Honestly,
what are we doing?
What is happening? Like,
so okay.
I'm concerned. What's his?
I've got
prop
some.
bet that you got.
So I've got some. Let's look at number 2 draft pick. The odds for the number 2 pick. It's fascinating. Will Levis plus 145, Tyree Wilson plus 200, CJ Stroud plus 275, Will Anderson plus 330. Number 3 draft pick, CJ Stroud is the leader at plus 275, so you're, I think, implying that a team will trade up and get him. Number 4 draft pick, he's in as well. So there's not a draft position for him. I don't know. This is where the draft commentary like really bugs the shit out of me. Are we not talking about him because teams are trying to be quiet? They're saying, hey, we can come up and get this guy. I think he's like after that Georgia game, like that was one of the best quarterback games of the last couple of years, I thought. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Again, this
Is
is where
it?
I'm not an
Well,
evaluator.
here's the other
I'm
thing:
just
is
a
it
dude that
because
watches
he's a?
football.
Is it because he's an Ohio State quarterback?
I think it factors into
It
it.
is.
Yeah.
Like it so is.
And the
And
system
like,
and everything else,
yeah,
and his weapons, all of that. Yeah, for sure. I think it's part of it.
yeah.
But
And like
he's
history of Ohio State quarterbacks. Like I genuinely think that there's a lot of other factors, and he's not a guy who's gonna like talk himself out of those narratives. So a lot of people, like a lot of guys, if like they know what the draft narrative is about them, they will in interviews and stuff be really like bold with what they say and comment on those things. And he's just not that guy. And so I find it fascinating. I know Ryan Day did make kind of a slight like dig this morning at some of the conversation and was just like, I mean, he was boosting up all the guys that are in the draft, the Ohio State guys. But I do find it interesting that we're not talking about him the way we were during the college football season, because I think there's a difference between people who are college football fans and watching the games and people who are evaluating for the draft and maybe come in like just evaluating as opposed to watching a season and going in the moment of the season and like everything that occurs. So yeah, I feel like it's a little strange, and I feel like he'll be in a situation where he can hopefully, like someone is, like you said, drafting up to get him, and he feels like he's wanted there and in a good spot. But yeah, it definitely is interesting. But I feel like the narrative should be shifting with Fields and things like that, but it's just not. It's definitely haunts them.
And he's been amazing by all accounts. In like his combine workout was like elite, and I just, again, the draft kind of drives me crazy because I'll speak for you and me, we attach ourselves to these guys as players that have really been amazing at the college level, have been entertaining. I thought when they lost to Michigan, I felt horrible because he accepted it, and like the accountability aspect of it was brutal. It was like brutal to watch how honest he was, and I just want him to do well. And he's going to get hit. Look, he'll go somewhere like top 7. Like he's not going to, this is not
he's
like
not
a
gonna
sad
like fall
story.
And we're not like worried about him. Yeah. But it's just weird, the conversation.
By the dialogue surrounding him.
I am too. Especially because like, why are we, again, it's driving me nuts that we're like, not to say that if you don't go to like a big school that you're not a quarterback that we should like evaluate, but like, or be excited about. But like, why are we having conversations about like quarterbacks that, yes, they played in the SEC, but like they were not good during the year, and we were like considering them for number 1 overall? Like, are you joking?
Yes.
What?
No, I agree. One other thing I'm going to be looking at draft night, and I'll transition this into a bet. The total number of running backs taken in the first round, the over/under is 1.5. Over minus 205. It was minus 165 last night, and I like the over here. Now, one of the storylines is like, where is Bijan going to go?
Yeah.
He's getting connected to Atlanta, which would be like awesome. Guy just looked great in that uniform. Like everything about that, other than the Falcons, just not, I don't know, just being a mediocre football team, sure. But and then Jahmyr Gibbs, the other guy being kind of rumored, like crazy speed. I like the over. I think Gibbs is going to go in the first round. And for a guy, Bijan, I just can't wait to see where he goes. And the interesting part, because you said, oh, how sad. And you're exactly right with running backs. Like we're the value of the position is in this really weird purgatory but when you have players like Bijan, it sort of transcends that, or we think. So where will he go? Will he go top 10? I'm excited to see. And I think Gibbs, by the way, if you get him in the right offense, put him with Justin Herbert or put him in, an offense that has a capable quarterback. Yeah. Cincinnati, right? Like, I mean, that guy could be incredible. So running back will be a position that I'm intrigued by as well. So there you go. There's
the over.
Any other draft thoughts as a whole that you have?
No, I'm just excited to watch. Ready for the
drink for the draft? Like what is the?
Yes and no. Some days I do, some days I don't, or some years I don't. This year probably not.
Well, before we speaking of drinking, we have to end on the beers, but we won't do that now. We have to talk about 2 topics.
Yes.
You want to do your team or my team first?
Let's do your team first. So
okay, and then we'll put on our funeral attire and get it going.
So congratulations on finally landing Aaron Rodgers.
My I'm excited. I'm excited. They will not be boring, I think. They're going to be interesting. The Jets will be interesting for the first time in a long time. They're going to get, like, I don't know, Adam Schefter said like 6 primetime games, which scares the shit out of me because the public failings will be greater.
Yep.
And the pressure will be high. And I feel like the whole world is going to root against the Jets. And I'm okay with that. I understand it. What's really funny about this, I think I've told you, my dad, my stepmom is from Milwaukee, from Wisconsin. And so, you know, by osmosis, I want the Packers to do well. And I've actually always liked the Packers as a whole. Frankly, watching Aaron Rodgers is amazing.
Yeah.
My dad has not, lifelong Jets fan, just does not like Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
So he is talking himself into this now, or trying to figure out his thoughts.
Yeah.
Yes. So the alternative for us Jets fans here is, like, even if you don't like Aaron Rodgers, which frankly I don't know. I'm incredibly biased now, so I can't even give an opinion on this yet.
Yeah.
I mean, like a fair opinion. It's that or Zach Wilson. You take that. I think it's going to be fun. I hope he's healthy. I don't know what it looks like, Paige, to have a competent quarterback for my team ever. Ever. Chad Pennington. Vinny Testaverde.
I mean, Packer fans are going to be rooting for him to be healthy as well. So, I mean, that's the good news.
Yeah, and they gave up a lot. Actually, I don't know. Again, not a draft comp guy. Seems like a fair deal. Aaron Rodgers is good. The Jets, like, they don't have a fucking choice. They need him. So,
but, like, you don't even know how long he's going to play for. I mean, for Packers fans, they were so fed up, I think. Like, my brother is a Packers fan and my best friend is too. And they both were like, okay, bye. Like, it wasn't. And it's just been, like, such a, like, toxic relationship the last couple of years. And thank God he didn't ruin draft night again. Seriously. I was mostly happy about.
They also have had great quarterback play for, like, 35 years. So they're like, you know what? We're good. We're shopping. We're dumpster diving for QBs.
But, like, what if it does? Like, that's my thing, though, for Jets fans. Like, are you nervous that this doesn't work and, like, the Jets just never can?
I'm just dead inside, Paige.
Okay.
I'm already dead inside.
Like,
here's the problem. Like, the real problem, the AFC is, like, it's stacked.
I was just going to say, it's not like you're going to win a Super Bowl. Like, I hate to tell you that. Like,
don't do that. No, you don't have to go that aggressive. Like, I mean, I'm not there, okay? I think that...
I mean, realistic expectations for this next season, do you really think you're going to make it to the Super Bowl? Because you got Aaron Rodgers?
Right. No, I think that they... Fuck. Why are you boxing me in like this? I'm not expecting to win the Super Bowl, but I think that they can... I think they can... If they're healthy, they can beat anybody. Why are you looking at me like that? Breece Hall, like, did you see him?
Yes.
Like,
did you see his tweet? He's like, my knee's good.
I mean, when they were beating teams, including the Packers in Green Bay, like with Zach Wilson doing shit, they have really good pieces.
It's actually less about the Jets and more about everyone they have to go through to get to that point.
It's brutal. Like, Bills, Dolphins are great. Yeah. You got Cincinnati, Mahomes, Herbert. Yeah. Like, it's a mess.
It's like a mess. Like, that's
Lamar
hard.
Jackson, you assume. Like, it's gonna be like, it's not a great path.
No.
But you know what? I'll say this. I'm not even there. I'm just kind of excited to watch something different as a fan.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then if they don't, like, it's very volatile. This has a chance to go really bad. He will play 66% of the snaps, so they give up a first-round pick. And they'll be like, 4-12.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is, 4-13 now, I guess. They play 16 games, right? I don't know what the fuck it is. They'll be bad. And there's a chance that would be the Jets' outcome. Like, that would be the Jetsian thing for them to do. But, and like, I'm listening to people say, oh, it's the Super Bowl or bust. No, it's hard to win a Super Bowl. So I'm not there.
It is hard to win a Super Bowl. But I just want to go on the record and say, like, I know you said you have a soft spot for the Packers and you like them. I don't want any good things for the Packers, so I'm fine with all of this.
Oh, and yes, and that's a good transition to the Las Vegas A's. So last week we recorded a pod, and you basically said, A's, get out of here. Like, I'm done with you. You said it a lot nicer than that.
Yeah.
And then literally 2 hours, like 12 hours later, they were out.
Yeah.
Right?
That was like it was kind of like I thought of Home Alone, where he's like, I made my family disappear.
It was perfect.
I literally I was like, I'm living alone. And I was just really mad, and it backfired, and they left. And it was at 11 p.m., just like a news dump.
Oh, yeah.
And I normally am not on Twitter that late, but for some reason, rolled over, checked Twitter, and was like, what? Before it was even alerted to my phone, and I was like, this... It actually, like, it made me more sad than I thought I was going to be, because, like, we've been expecting this. As A's fans, like, we've genuinely been expecting this to happen. But I was, like, really sad, like, thinking about the fact that, like, that was, like, the first, like, sports thing that I, like, attended as a kid, and the first team that I really fell in love with, and it was, like, it was my shitty team, you know?
Yes.
And I think it was also frustrating because, again, like I said last week, like, the owner of this team is just
Go ahead.
I don't have nice things. And
I called Stetson Bennett a douchebag.
yeah, no,
Probably
it's frustrating to me that, like, he's going to be rewarded with a team in Vegas. Like, that's the irritating part, and then to have Rob Manfred be like, oh, you know, he's done everything. And I'm like, my brother and I were talking, and he's like, you don't say that the guy who's, you know, like, technically works for the owners is defending the owner in this situation. But I mean, It sounds like there's going to be a lot of, like, red tape. So I am interested to see how this all plays out. And, like, a lot of people have come to the conclusion that and I think this is why Manfred tried to say what he said, because ultimately, like, they still do need a lot of approvals from Vegas. They need approvals from all the other owners. And here's the other thing with the owners is, like, if you're, like, yes, revenue sharing with a team that's in Vegas is probably going to benefit every other team for sure. But think about the fact that, like, these other owners are putting money into their teams, some of them more than others, being better about it. And this guy has just, for the last, I don't know, 20 years, 30 years, really just dug in on the fact that he's not going to, or that family has, I should say.
Yeah, they're waiting for this.
Well, they haven't been the majority owners for that long, actually. It's only been like 10, but it's still.
They've been looking for a golden parachute.
Yeah, and it's just it's sad. It made me sad to, like, hear from, like, you know, people who are, like, you know, cover the sport in locally, because, like, their job is gone if the team's gone, or they're
the impact.
There's a massive impact. So
I think of you. I think of kids. I can't help but get the sappy part of this. Jobs. You're gonna have an awesome. The Vegas experience for a baseball game sounds fucking awesome. I already thought about going out to see the Mets play for 3 games. Like, I'm in. Yeah. But this sucks, and it sucks the way this has been a drawn out death, a very public and like, the team now is bad.
Hey, we're on pace to win 29 games.
The circumstances suck, and it sucks.
Yeah. Like, it's all gross, but
it is all gross, and it's like the business side. And Manfred just needs to stop talking. Yeah. Like, anytime he talks, I'm irritated.
Yeah, it is annoying.
Very punchable
besides about the clock, of course.
I didn't like him explaining it to me either. Just give me the clock.
Just give me the clock and let me see how it works.
Does not. I like the clock. I'm for the clock, but I don't like him explaining it.
Yeah. No, I agree. But I do think, too, like, I mean, a lot of people are like, well, you have the Giants. Like, I'm not going to be a Giants fan. Like, that's not how it works.
Have you thought, you said Cubs, right?
Oh, I'm a Cubs fan, yeah. Well, that was already, like, in the works for years. That's been in the works for a while. So I can confidently say that, like, I've slowly but surely added myself to that bandwagon for a while. So I feel confident joining the ranks of Cubs fans. And
game in Wrigley. Let's go.
I love Wrigley.
Let's go. God,
but yeah,
awesome.
it was a sad day, and also just, like, very timely that I was like, I had it, go, leave, and and
no, don't, please don't leave. Like,
and then it was like, by the way, this has stopped. The city is not going to negotiate anymore, and they are like, they've made it clear that they want to leave for Vegas, so they're leaving. So I was like, all right, well, cool.
The spot where they're talking about the stadium, I mean, it's amazing that there's building these massive things just, like, right on the strip. Based off what I saw. And I did see that it was going to be a largely retractable roof, like I don't know exactly what that means, but it better be, like it's going to be 1,000 degrees to play there.
Like why?
Yeah.
It's stupid. The like details of this, they've not all been really thought out there for sure. But
I will say, team aside, and I'm sad for you.
Thank you.
I will turn this into a Vegas weekend, like
in a
fucking Mets games. Oh my God,
in a heartbeat. But I will say, in better baseball news, we can talk about beers because my number one overall is always ballpark beers.
Okay.
So give us your updated ranking, and I will give you my rankings that basically always stay the same.
Okay, so I'll start from 5 and work my way upwards to the number 1.
Okay.
Number 5 is going to be the chore beer. Now, the chore beer can vary depending on the chore, but this is how many beers was formed on Twitter, is doing some sort of task, mundane or not, and drinking a beer. By way of example, trying to put on a new trampoline net thing that encases the trampoline so the kids don't just go jumping out. What a fucking pain in the ass. That was a 3-beer job, and it's not done because it was a very big pain in the ass. In fact, we're ordering a new net to try. But that task would suck if not for the beer.
Beers.
So that's number 5. I'll try to move through these a little faster. Number 4, first tailgate beer. Now, tailgating, the vibes of tailgating are just immaculate, right? So part of this is you're either making a situation better or you're making a already good situation elite. First tailgate beer does that. The post lawn mow beer, for me, of course, that's a very personal beer. There is nothing like on a nice summer day mowing the shit out of your lawn, get it looking like immaculate, and then just sitting outside and staring at it while you have a beer. Number 2, vacation beers. When you have completely unplugged from the world and you're drinking a beer on vacation and you don't have a care in the world, you're not checking email.
Yep.
That beer is running through you like it doesn't normally run through you. I think vacation beers, it also applies to whatever vibe you have. Like, just vacation beers hit differently. And last but not least is the deck patio beers. The new number 1, as I mentioned. I just think that it's very versatile. So if you're had a long day, whenever your job is, you can go out back, you can listen to music, you can have a deck patio beer. If you're having people over, you can have a deck patio beer. It's like the most versatile beer. Now, the one that didn't make the list that I struggle with is the airport beer. And I want your thoughts on this too.
So,
Is it on your list, by the way?
So I don't drink beer enough for this to be a thing. My top 2 are ballpark beer and 4th of July beer. Those are the 2 times that I drink beer. Okay. The next 3 that are on my list are going to be like, I will substitute in like a seltzer or a cocktail.
It's fine.
Or
Still
a wine.
Counts.
I think an airport drink, especially if it's in a lounge, is elite.
Yep.
And then I will say a post-ski beer is good.
Oh, that's a good
or
beer.
Or middle of the day ski beer.
That's great beer too.
That's great. And hold on, I had one more after that. And then, hold on. Oh, a shower cocktail. But this is a very specific type of shower cocktail. Here it is. Are you ready? It's when you've been at the beach all day or in the sun all day and you have to shower, go to dinner on vacation. And that is an elite drink because you're drinking it to keep up so that you can get through to dinner.
All right. Thank you for the qualifier because I feel like the shower beer has been overrated. The daily usage shower beer is an inconvenience. I'll have a post lawn mow beer that may carry over into the shower.
Yeah.
But that's not a shower beer.
No. It's a very specific type of shower, though. It's not. It's a vacation shower.
Yeah.
It's a vacation shower in between day at the pool, day at the beach, whatever, day at the, like, say you go to, like, Disneyland, the park, and then you're showering, trying to go to dinner. That is the specific from day to night, getting you through the shower to the shower cocktail to that.
I like that. I like that explanation. The airport beer is maybe the most controversial one. Not on my list because the beer can range violently.
Yeah.
I have had some terrible fucking layovers, terrible delays where the airport beer is almost like therapy and I can't decide if that's good or bad. That being said, when I just went out to Vegas with my buddy, We had like 2 like gigantic IPAs, and we're like fucking like good and buzzed walking on the plane. It's a wonderful beer.
Yeah.
The airport beer though just has such a wide range of emotions attached depending on what you're traveling for.
Fair. I'm
But
just like a big lounge person, so I'm always getting champagne instead of beer. And so like a champagne before I get on a flight to fly to the destination, not home. I never drink when I come home because I'm always like, just get yourself home. But to go wherever I'm going, it's usually like a lounge champagne, and then I get a nice little buzz off of one because I'm me now, and I'm lightweight, and that sets me up for a good, and also it like gets me maybe a little sleepy depending on the day of the flight or time of the flight. Can get me a little sleepy because I'm not really good at sleeping on planes, although my brother has pictures to prove that that's not true because I always say that I don't sleep on planes. My brother's like, really? Because there's like so many of you. But I have so many pictures of me just asleep on planes. Like, thanks, you little jerk. That's what little brothers are for.
But you're making a good point. I think I need a cocktail list because if you go to a nice dinner, I do this for work a lot. If I'm meeting people, I like to show up 20 minutes early and get a cocktail at the bar. The pre-dinner cocktail, immaculate. But that doesn't work for beer. You're not going there to get like
you can't like
IPA.
pregame with beer.
No.
Yeah, so maybe we redo next week. We go over like type of cocktail, not like specific alcohol, but just like what situation do I like to drink in most. I mean, everyone obviously knows what my number one's going to be now because I just love that.
That's right.
situation.
But you've expanded the conversation. I have a feeling this is going to be controversial.
Really?
Yeah.
People are going to be like, you forgot this beer.
Oh, yeah. No, that happens a lot. In fact, when I mentioned it on Twitter, people are like, the shower beer cult gets out of there and starts like yelling at you. But I'm all for it.
You have to be not to continue on this tangent, but like when you're drinking in the shower, like I'm not someone who's like loving the idea of water being in there. So it's got to be like a reach out situation, take a sip, come back in.
Yes.
So if you're like a full shower beer person where it's like in your shower and stuff, that's just not, that's not the thing.
No, because people are drinking fucking shit beer in the shower. And like, if I'm drinking a 13% IPA.
Yeah, you're going to be, I'm going to be trouble. It's actually dangerous. You could slip and fall in the shower.
I've got one last random thing because you're wearing your municipal sweatshirt. I wore mine to soccer this week. It's an amazing sweatshirt.
Thank you.
I wore mine. I have it I cannot wear it. Well, I'd be sweating and doing the podcast today. But I wore mine to soccer.
It's too late in the year for you. Sorry, I love you.
I got so many compliments on this. Like, first off, I'm walking in, and this guy just looks at me. He's like, "Marky Mark, that's fucking nice." He just walked right by me. That was like my first initial.
You're like, are you saying I look
thanks,
like
man. Like, I don't know what it was. Marky Mark, that's fuck. And then all of a sudden, I'm walking in. They're like, municipal. Like, I went to like 2 soccer games, and it was like. I don't usually get this on my clothes because normally I just wear golf shirt. My attire. It's like I look like I just got off of golf. Why are you laughing?
Because I wear this.
I just wear golf shirts that
Again,
usually don't have logos. Yeah, I get it. I fair. But my municipal.
It's upping your dad attire.
I need to. Yes, I feel like I have now. Like this week, I've got the salmon colored one, which is a little bit more aggressive.
Really it's
colored. I do. I know. I this was like gold. It's got like a mustard yellow, and it just works. In fact, Caitlin, she goes, like, I'm not usually getting compliments from my wife. I'm not like, you get married long enough. She's like, wow, I love that color on you. Hey, thanks, municipal. Thanks, Marky Mark. Like,
look at Marky Mark.
I've got some good municipal vibes going. I'm gonna ride this into this week's soccer practice.
Okay.
So, yeah. But the guy who walked by me, to the man that walked by me, said like 4 words, and then I will never see again. Thanks, buddy. Thanks. I appreciate you.
That was nice.
This was a long podcast.
It was. I knew it was going to be long when we started off with a rant.
Oh yeah, the pre-production on this was
pre-production / intro / all of it. We really got into it. But happy draft for everybody. Good luck with your bets. We hope you win them all.
I said this like 3 weeks ago. Very soon, we're going to be talking about games of the year lines, point spreads. We have them out. This is the time of the year post-draft where you and I can like
early
start
Heisman. Why not?
Oh yeah, fucking degenerate time. That's what it is. So it's coming. So enjoy the draft. We will reconvene, do an assessment of our teams and all sorts of stuff for Paige and Hank
and
Adam. We will talk to you guys next week.